Hey everyone, welcome to GachaPencil episode 5. My name is Edric and I'm a character concept artist. In this channel, I talk about and narrate a character from an anime, video game, or maybe even a cartoon character. I will introduce the characters a little, talk about what I think about the characters, and then I will give them a rating at the end. The character rating will be from a 1-star common character to a 5-star ultra rare character. So I have something a little different for you today. The past episodes have all been anime characters, but today I want to take a look at a character from a video game. So we will be looking at the character Iori Yagami from the King of Fighters video game series. The King of Fighters is a series of fighting games, very similar to other fighting games like Street Fighter or Marvel vs Capcom. The first game of the series, King of Fighters 94, came out in 1994 and has since then been releasing title updates with new characters every few years, with the latest being the King of Fighters 15 that came out earlier this year. So Iori Yagami has seen many different updates and character design changes through the years. All of them are wildly interesting. I have known this character for a really long time and even played a lot of King of Fighters in the past. So I think it will be very interesting to take a look at Iori Yagami's original character design today in 2022. We will be rating his character design based on a few points that I think are visually important for character designing. For the first point, let's take a look at how relevant Iori Yagami is. Yagami is a playable character that was only introduced in the King of Fighters 95, the second game of the series. He fights with the Yasakani style of ancient martial arts and is also able to wield a special purple flame because of his bloodline and heritage. So while Iori Yagami is a character from a fighting game, what makes fighting game characters so interesting is the life that they live outside of fighting. And what I really want to get at here today is why in the world is he dressed like that? Did he walk out of the Tokyo fashion show? He wears this outfit that looks like a combination of a white shirt and a conductor tuxedo suit. Then he has these bright red pants that have a belt that cuffs both his knees together. Almost looks and feels like the restriction would make him fall or trip. But actually, it has enough slack for him to move around comfortably. And he even has an emo hairstyle that is dyed pure red. Why does he look so different and flamboyant compared to his rival Kyo Kusanagi, who is a student and just wears a school uniform? Alright, so I feel that this was not obvious or represented well enough in the game. But Iori Yagami is actually a musician and he even plays the bass guitar. So his outfit feels like it was inspired maybe by a musical conductor's outfit. He also has a very strong rock and roll or metal vibe to him. Now, the way he is dressed like that is also because sometime in the late 80s to early 90s, the fashion movement, Visual Kei, was born, and underground musicians in that time commonly dressed in a very wild and eccentric way to express artistic freedom with no rules. This is a part I want to cover more extensively, so let's talk about this later in the outfit section of the video. Relevance gets a 3 out of 5 for me. While the way he looks is very unusual, there are reasons for him to dress like that, and you can't deny how iconic his design is. The second point is color palette. Iori Yagami has striking red hair paired with his fabulous red pants. He wears black and white for his top and he complements the red color with the purple flames he uses. As he uses his purple flames a lot and is often represented manipulating this power, I consider the purple to be part of his color palette. The use of red, blue, purple, black and white is a standard choice among Visual Kei artists. The color combination of purple and red is what we call harmonious colors or analogous colors on the color wheel. This creates a color combination that is pleasing to the eyes. Unlike a complementary color combination, which will include a color from the opposite side of the spectrum, harmonious colors, while pleasing to look at, doesn't create any lasting impact. Now, I know that there are characters out there that are extremely popular that relies only on harmonious colors or have only one color with different shades. But there are only a few slots in history for those. And as a concept artist, it is important to take note of that when creating characters for the future. Iori Yagami deserves a 3 out of 5 for color palette. And now for the third point, we have Yagami's silhouette shape. So I'm going to gauge the silhouette shape with just how I feel when I look at it. The shape could be rounded, and that would make the viewer feel calm and relaxed, or it could have a lot of sharp edges, which would then create a sense of danger. This time, I want to make things a little bit more interesting, since it's from a video game. So I've decided to take a look at the idle sprite animation for Iori Yagami from the King of Fighters 13, since in my opinion that game has the best 2D animation in video game history. So from the silhouette, I can see that he is showing his fingers in a claw-like manner. I can also see a lot of sharp edges from his cuffs, and actually even his belt buckles on his knees look a little sharp. Even his hair, which for the most part is hidden within his body and outside up. But when he moves his head out, it looks a little bit like the beak of an eagle. It makes him look very ferocious and dangerous. His stance, together with the back flow of his shirt, which look like the tail of a bird, makes him feel very grounded and stable. I feel like Iori Yagami could pounce and lunge at you very quickly and very aggressively, and then tear you to shreds with his claw-like fingers. In motion, I feel his silhouette expresses everything I would expect from a character like Iori Yagami. Iori Yagami gets a 5 out of 5 for silhouette. For the last point, let's take a look at Iori Yagami's head and outfit design. Earlier I was talking about how Iori Yagami's design was inspired by the Visual Kei fashion movement. So maybe let's start briefly looking at what Visual Kei actually is. In the late 80s to 90s, Visual Kei emerged in Japan's underground music culture, where popular bands such as Japan would dress up in a sort of visually shocking style as a form of creative expression. The fashion style in itself is considered an art form, very much like cosplay. This was mainly influenced by Western glam rock or metal bands and musicians such as David Bowie and Kiss, just to name a couple. But the term or the specific fashion style of Visual Kei, which was originally known as Visual Shock style, was mainly inspired by the lead guitarist of Japan, Hide. The style mainly consists of dyed hair, often in the colors of red, brown, blue, blonde, that is straightened and styled in a wild and messy way. They would also dress in outfits that would rebel against conventional styles. So styles such as cross-dressing or even going for an androgynous look would be common for Visual Kei artists. Visual Kei doesn't follow any conventional rules, so they would add spikes, buckles, and belts to places that don't serve any purpose, except for visual shock. Alright, so that was our short fashion history class. Now let's take a look at how Iori Yagami's character design compares being influenced by Visual Kei. Iori Yagami wears a half vest with long sleeves over a long shirt that has very sharp wrist cuffs and bottom flaps. And then he wears a pair of red pants with a belt that is tied between his knees. For his hairstyle, Iori Yagami went for a sort of red emo haircut. I personally feel that Iori Yagami's design is very tamed compared to true Visual Kei. Perhaps it is because of the overall aesthetics of the King of Fighters, and having a full Visual Kei designed character would make him stand out too much and not fit into the cast. And to add to that, Iori Yagami is also a seasoned fighter and does not have the typical slim and slender Visual Kei body figure. In fact, quite the contrary, he is quite strong and muscular. I feel that if the artist had decided to make the character more complicated, Iori Yagami wouldn't have been the iconic character he is today. It is because his look is exaggerated and simple at the same time that it works. I think that his head and outfit design gets a 4 out of 5. So let's go over the rating that we have given him and see what his overall score is on GachaPencil. For relevance, it was a 3 out of 5. For color, it was a 3 out of 5. For silhouette, it was a 5 out of 5. And lastly, for outfit, it was a 4 out of 5. Iori Yagami on GachaPencil is a 4-star super rare character. Alright, it was really a challenge reviewing Iori Yagami. Japanese fashion is something that I am not the most familiar with, especially when I believe that his design is inspired by an underground scene in the 90s. However, I learned a lot from studying his concept design, and I feel that this is what makes reviewing characters so fun and interesting. Sometimes a character can be very confusing to understand, and we might not know why they look a particular way. But if we take a look at it deeper and do our research, we might find something new. And as concept artists, we will never have enough of such references to study when creating new characters. Well, I thank you for watching, and I hope that you have enjoyed my company. It was fun talking about and breaking down the design of Iori Yagami from the King of Fighters. If you're into fighting games, you can check out their latest title, The King of Fighters 15. I think fighting games have a lot of interesting characters, and I might take a look at more characters from different fighting games soon. What do you think? If you enjoyed this content, or maybe have any characters that you want me to take a look at, just let me know, comment, and like the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends who like anime and video games as well. I will be reviewing more character designs every week, so join me to learn more about the characters you love. I hope you had fun, and I'll see you again next week.